Thank you so much for taking your time and then sitting with me for the next 30 minutes. My name is Ashwin Chadaga, and it's a pleasure to be here. Today, I will be presenting our research, which is using AI to predict consumer behavior and improving ROI. This is my second time presenting at a conference, and I'm very thankful to the committee for choosing this paper. Over the next 30 minutes or so, we will explore the uses of AI in businesses, exploring how it's not just a buzzword, but a powerful tool for creating real measurable value for the businesses that are implementing AI. Here is the presentation agenda that we will be sticking to today. To guide our discussion, what we will be discussing is the problem statement at hand, what we are trying to provide solution for based on our research. We will define the problem and then try to figure out how these problems are affecting businesses in implementing AI solutions. Second, we will walk through our unique approach for arriving at a solution for this problem. We will discuss the type of methodologies that we implemented in order to come to the conclusion of our research. After that, we will discuss the most exciting part, which is the key findings from our research. And then finally, we will wrap up the presentation by discussing the challenges that the research faced or the businesses faced, and also at the same time what sort of future look forward should we have for the future research in the future. So, um, the problem statement, we in today's world, we, as we all know, we live in an era where unprecedented data is generated every minute. Like every click, every purchase, every interaction that a customer has with businesses converts or creates a digital footprint. This in turn converts into massive data that is being stored by businesses in their data lake, in their cloud services, etc., etc. This creates a fundamental paradox for the businesses, which is they are data rich but are oftentimes insight poor. What I mean by that is businesses are swimming in this data, but they do not have a methodology or a process to utilize this data for improving their businesses or improving their revenue. Um, that's where they have all the raw materials but struggle to turn them into a smart strategy. This is what our research tries to tackle, which is we explore how artificial intelligence can act as a crucial bridge between data and in turn insights. We will explore how artificial intelligence can help businesses in transforming this ocean of data into accurate predictions, truly personalized customer experiences, and a return on investment that the companies can really bank upon. In order to ensure that we have guidelines for conducting our research, we based our research on these four key questions. Number one, which is how effective are AI models at accurately predicting consumer behaviors? Is it good enough, or is it better than what all the other methodologies that are available for predicting? Second, what's the real world impact of using these AI models on real world businesses? Are they great? Do they get money back on all the investments that they are making on AI, or are they truly just wasting their money? Then third one is how does all this AI driven personalization feel to the customer? Are they like amazed by the recommendation that AI provides, or do they feel that it is being too intrusive? And finally, we also our guidelines perspective, we ensure that we also look at the decision makers or the marketing teams and then see if they are actually using these insights to make better decisions. All these four questions led to our core hypothesis, that is, AI would outperform older models or older predictive models and deliver significant business growth. I will dig deeper into the research that we conducted. So, to get a complete picture of the questions that we wanted answers upon, we knew that a single method wouldn't be sufficient. Sorry, we needed both a qualitative approach and a quantitative approach to answer the questions that we went about in our research. So we employed a mixed methods approach. Quantitatively, we dug into the hard numbers, whether by running regression analysis to link AI adoption to ROI, and using ANOVA tests to compare multiple models against each other to figure out which model performs the best. But quantitative aspect is not just the whole story. We also wanted to get to understand how customers feel, how the businesses feel while employing these AI models. Qualitatively, what we did was we conducted in-depth case studies and interviews with key stakeholders, the people on the ground who actually are making decision on implementing these AI models. This allowed us to understand the why behind the what. Here is our methodology from a quantitative model perspective. We selected four major models for our data set that we included for understanding the performance of AI models, included predictions from four different diverse um, predictive models. One was neural networks, random forest, decision tree, and support vector machines. All these four different models had their own capabilities. One, for example, neural networks were great at predicting nonlinear patterns, but are often considered by businesses as black box. They do not understand the output. There is no interpretability. That is where random forest and boosted trees and decision trees come into place, wherein they might be less accurate but are more interpretable than neural networks. And similarly, support vector machines are effective for high dimensional data. So if your data set consists of massive amount of columns, or say data points, you could utilize support vector machines for that. With all these, our primary goal was to determine if there was a statistically significant difference in their performance between these models. To do this, what we did was we ran a NOVA test on their prediction accuracy scores, and then this allowed us to rigorously evaluate which model was most effective at predicting consumer behavior based on the data that was provided to the models. And here is our first finding from the quantitative analysis that we did. So what did we find? Our first major result is about pure predictive power between these models that I previously mentioned. It clearly shows that the AI models outperform all the other models from a pure technology standpoint, or from a pure accuracy standpoint. Neural networks were achieved an impressive 90% accuracy in predicting consumer behavior in our tests, whereas all the other models came in a little short. This confirmed our first hypothesis, which was um, AI models are better at predicting what the customer behavior would look like compared to all the other models. Does this mean all the other models should not be utilized by the companies? Not necessarily. It all depends on what the use case is and how comfortable businesses are in utilizing each of the models for their operations. Since we established the accuracy of the AI models, what we wanted to go next was to dig deeper into figuring out, is there a correlation between the AI prediction model to the ROI? Accuracy is only meaningful if it translates into business value, and our analysis shows it absolutely does. We found that implementing AI driven strategies led to an average increase of ROI of 12% across all the industries that we considered for the research. In data heavy sectors like financial services, that number jumped to a remarkable 20%, which is a great return on ROI that the companies have implemented. This is a clear, statistically significant link between strategic AI adoption and a healthier bottom line that businesses always rely upon. So now that we have established the qualitative quantitative research piece of it, we wanted to also look at the qualitative aspect of it. So we conducted multiple case studies, we looked at interviews with stakeholders, and this is one of the examples. So I'm highlighting a case study that we had researched upon while we were conducting this research. We worked with an anonymized retail partner facing high cart abandonment. They were seeing that most of the customers come to the end checkout page and then just leave their cart. So instead of the generic "did you forget something" emails that you usually get from all these companies, they used an AI model to predict the purchase intent. They had multiple data points from from a perspective of the customer and their cart abandonment, which they utilized to create a AI model which could predict high intent. Those high intent customers received a personalized follow up email with a small time sensitive offer, and the results with this particular change was immediate. An 18% increase in conversion, a 25% drop in cart abandonment, and a 7% lift in overall ROI from the single initiative that happened to this company. This is a perfect example of surgically applying AI to solve a specific business problem. Now that I have covered some aspect of qualitative research through case study, I also want to focus on the interviews that we conducted with anonymized customers to figure out what do they feel about these AI personalization based on their behavior. This brings us to our most nuanced finding, something we call as a personalization paradox. The good news is that 80% of the customers loved the relevant personalized recommendations. They were like, hey, this is great. This is exactly what I want. And I love it. At the same time, there is a catch. A significant minority, around 25%, felt that the same personalization was intrusive. What they mean by that is it's going beyond a certain line and then providing me recommendations which I had just imagined, and I feel like it is reading through my mind. I don't want that to happen. This reveals a tightrope that businesses must walk. The line between being helpful and invasive is quite thin, and crossing it has real consequences. And companies should be well aware of these things when they are implementing AI models. Digging deep into some of the qualitative interviews that we conducted. These are two examples of the things that customers mentioned. One is that they mentioned it felt like the company actually knew what I was looking for. It saved me time, which is highly positive. That's exactly what you want as a company to hear from your customers rather than hearing the complete opposite, which is, hey, it's creepy. I mentioned something to a friend and an ad showed up a minute later, which made me uninstall the app. This has happened with most of us. Like if you are having conversation with your friends and then you are discussing a certain product, and a few minutes later you open up Facebook and you see the exact ad for the things that you were discussing, which is really creepy. You don't want that level of personalization from an AI model because it feels intrusive to the clients. This stark contrast between what customers let us know underscores the absolute necessity of giving your users or customers transparency and control over their data. Now that I have talked most of the aspects of our research, I also wanted to touch base on another aspect, which is the businesses which are implementing these models. We conducted multiple interviews with business leaders to figure out what sort of challenges are they facing when they are implementing these AI technologies. What we discovered through our research, like collecting all the data points and then putting it onto our themes, what we realized was that there are two major aspects that came out. One was data quality and bias that every every stakeholder provided us, which is what they were saying was our data quality is not great, and that creates a big problem for us because garbage in, garbage out has never been more true. Stakeholders also told us that inconsistent data was their single biggest barrier to success. And then second, they had concerns over ethics and trust from implementing these AI models with their customers. 40% of the business leaders that we spoke to were actively concerned about the ethical implications of their AI models and how to maintain their customer trust when they implement something that is new. These are not one-off issues or side issues. This is what we heard from most of the stakeholder interviews that we conducted, and they are central to making AI work in the long run. So companies, they should be looking at data quality and bias and ethical concerns and trust when they are deploying these AI models. So now that I have covered most of our research, what I wanted to discuss were the key takeaways for the businesses. There are three key takeaways for the businesses. Number one, they should be investing in AI. What I mean by that is, what sort of do they implement all their money in one single initiative, or do they also prioritize data governance? Do they embrace ethical AI, so on and so forth? So what does this all mean for businesses in the real world? The three takeaways, as I mentioned: number one, invest in AI as a core strategic tool. Don't think of AI as a one-off experiment. Oftentimes what happens is businesses implement AI as a side project. They say, oh, let's just run an experiment for 3 months. And once that's done, the results of those experiments are forgotten, and then you move on to the next best thing. That is not a great strategy. You should be actually creating strategy around AI rather than running them off as one single experiment. The ROI is there. As we showed in our research, there is ROI in implementing AI models. Second, prioritizing data governance. Your AI is only as good as the data that it learns from. As I mentioned earlier, garbage in is garbage out. So you need to be prioritizing your data, your data governance. Have ensure that your data does not have too many loopholes or too many issues. If there are issues, fix them first before implementing or investing in AI models. And third, embrace ethical AI. What we mean by that is ethical AI should not be just about compliance, like whether it is GDPR or California law. It shouldn't be just about compliance. It's also about building unbreakable trust with your customers, because as we have seen, often trust is the ultimate currency when it comes to getting more and more business from your customers. So, what are some of the limitations from our research, and what is the future that our research proposes? As any study goes, our study is not a perfect study. There are certain issues that we are well aware of, and it's important to acknowledge our limitations. Number one, our work is a snapshot in time, and while we suggest causality between AI models and ROI, proving it definitively would require controlled experiments. This points to an exciting opportunity for future research. We probably need to conduct longitudinal studies to track a ROI over a period of time instead of just a snapshot in time. And also we need to explore these dynamics in other sectors. So especially the ones where there is a lot of regulations, like healthcare is one as an example. So that would help us in understanding if there are how does AI models work when there is a lot of regulation over a period of time. So going forward on the future path that the research can take shape is we see three fascinating avenues, as I mentioned. One is studying long-term impact, which is, does the creepy factor fade over time as users adapt? For example, say probably 8 years ago, if you had seen someone outside dancing while being on mute and dancing and recording themselves, you would have absolutely laughed yourself and said, this seems like someone has gone nuts. But now you realize that they are recording themselves for to be on social media or to be on TikTok, right? So you need to give some time for people to adapt to the newer technology and ensure that it is part of their daily life. So the creepy factor might fade over time as users adapt. Second, explainable AI or XAI. Can we build models that not only predict but also can explain why they made a certain recommendation? This would be massive because if we can explain if we can interpret the neural networks or any sort of AI models that are that are being that are coming out on a regular basis, it would help us build trust both with the customers and also with the businesses. And finally, we also need to look beyond just the monetary factor, which is ROI, to non-monetary factors such as brand loyalty and customer lifetime value and NPS scores, which are arguably even more important for sustainable success over a longer period of time. So, in conclusion, in the last 20 minutes or so, I covered our research, explained you both the qualitative and quantitative aspects of the research that we conducted in order to support our hypothesis, which is AI models certainly help businesses in improving their ROI. In conclusion, our research demonstrates that AI, when held responsibly, is one of the most powerful times of our time for creating customer value and also driving sustainable business growth. The key, as always, is to keep the customer at the center of the equation. Always think about the customer and their needs before thinking about monetary factors or increasing your revenue. Thank you for your time and attention, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. I would now be happy to answer any questions you may have.